Good morning, folks. Appreciate everyone being here for the meeting today. I'd like to convene the Fayette County Commissioners meeting Tuesday, June 18th at 2013 at 10 a.m. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer. And please turn for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on any of the agenda items today?
Before we do that, I'd like to just make a motion to amend the agenda to add an item. At Tuesday's agenda meeting, last week's agenda meeting, one of the items on the agenda was to allocate funds from the Marcellus Shale impact fees for Fayette County's farmland preservation program. I made the motion to place it on the agenda for today. It died for lack of second. And the reason stated is that you weren't prepared to discuss it. The problem was that when the agenda item was submitted to the chief clerk by me, I left out the word legacy fund. So I want to bring it to the attention if the commissioners are ready to consider this, then that's why I would like to have it on the agenda. If you don't place it on the agenda for today, then I'll make the motion, or I'll place it on the agenda for next month's meeting. But for clarification purposes and reconsideration, it was to, and I'm asking to place it on the agenda today, to allocate funds from the Marcellus Shale Impact Fee Legacy Fund for Fayette County's Farmland Preservation Program.
What I would like to do is I would like to put it on next month's meeting because we have another meeting with the Farm Bureau to discuss in more detail the needs and the some of the synergies we can achieve with the money. I hate making a decision without knowing those facts.
Can I speak?
So.
What do you want to speak on, sir?
Basically,
On this item, or?
Information, the item and information about farmland preservation.
The item hasn't been amended, thus it wouldn't be up for public comment at that point.
Okay.
Right, so because if it was on the agenda, if I got a second to place it on the agenda, then you could, so you'll have to bring it up later on at the very end of the meeting under public comment, okay?
So is there a second?
I would like to, again, discuss this with the Farm Bureau as well as other agricultural associated organizations. I think it's a worthy investment in our county. But it definitely needs more detail. This fund is a limited fund, and of course we've already dispersed some monies, at least via a motion. So I would definitely look and consider allocating some portion. But again, these funds are limited unless we want to pull back some of the other appropriations or marks. So I would like to review this, talk to Mr. Becker and some of the other organizations as well. I think it's appropriate and important that we do that, sir.
Yeah, and that's where the confusion is, okay, for what he just said. First off, we did, the Farmland Preservation Board members, at least two of you met with both commissioners, right? And then you met with me separately. So we have talked about it. And if you have more additional information, that's fine. I don't know how much more additional you could give us, but you did speak with them and you spoke with me.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, because you asked for a meeting last commissioners meeting. Okay. The second thing is, and this is where we did not allocate any monies, and that's what I'm referring to.
No.
This is out of the legacy fund. And just as you give it information before, so you can consider it's an item that has not been allocated. The monies that were allocated by resolution were out of the Act 13 impact fees. That was the 2011 distribution and the 2012 distribution of 1.4 and 1.2. I'm referring to a fund that has not yet been touched, and that is, we have 150, and roughly 115, no, I'll tell you.
150?
Last year, for the 2011 legacy fund, $115,896.63. We have not allocated a dime out of there. And also, for the 2012 disbursement legacy fund, there is one, we're going to be getting this money at the end of this month, $113,967.
218.
So right, and that legacy fund is, those monies don't get reported to the PUC. Those monies are, can be designated according to the agricultural, Mr. Wolfgang, I think his name is, for farmland preservation. So I want to just make it clear, because at Tuesday's agenda meeting, the agenda item said impact fee. This here is out of the legacy fund, which we have $200-some-odd-thousand that could be, not all of it, but some of it could be allocated to the farmland preservation.
Mr. Chairman, could I speak for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Well, first let me thank, my name is Darrell Becker. I'm the chairman of the Agricultural Land Preservation Board in Fayette County and also the treasurer of the Fayette County Farm Board. I want to thank all three of you for taking the previous time that you've allotted us to talk about this important subject of preserving farms. I'm optimistic that as we go forward, you have said that you would want to have further meetings. I'm amenable to that as long as we don't disperse the funds before the meeting. That's the main thing. And you know the importance of this. The money came from farms, and we want it to go back to help us preserve farms. So I'm open for further discussion whenever it's available, and I thank you for your past time.
Appreciate
Mr.
that.
Becker, thank you so much. You were very informational that day, and I still want to follow up on that agritourism. I think that's the key component to a lot of things that we need to look at regarding the economic stimulators of agriculture community.
Well, I didn't want to belabor you with
No, that's
figures
okay.
again, but, we need to get into that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion dies for lack of second. We will put this on the July
And we have to,
agenda.
We have to do that for next month.
Okay, any other public comments on any agenda items?
I would like to comment on your agenda item number 7, before you three county commissioners vote to spend our taxpayer dollars on a new prison. Anyone do that? Now?
5 minutes,
Oh,
please.
now?
Yes, no.
Thank you.
Mr. Chris, try to keep it to 5 minutes, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Chris, and I reside in Dunbar Township. Before I comment, I just want to clarify that the need to build a new prison is because of overcrowding, a lack of beds, and our county paying to house these criminals and adjacent county lockups. After reading all the stories in the Herald-Standard and Tribune Review, I saw no other alternatives suggested by you three county commissioners or your prison working group other than to build a new prison. I would like to offer 2 alternatives if I may. The first is to let a private company come in and build your new prison and maintain it. My second alternative would suit the needs of everyone. It would be far cheaper and could be put into operation tomorrow. Just in the past several weeks, the State Correctional Institute in Greensburg began transferring prisoners and shutting down operations. This state-owned turnkey facility sits on 81 acres off of U.S. Route 119 in Youngwood and has over 100,000 square feet of building space with an 860-bed capacity. This alternative would be a win-win for everybody, especially the hard-working taxpayers of this county, who you expect to shoulder the cost of paying for a prison for the next 30 years. Most of us in this room will be dead before the debt on the new prison would be paid off. $50 million is a lot of money to spend on something that will never come back to benefit the average citizen or enhance our economy. To the average working taxpayer, there is a big difference between want and need. We all want things, but our budgets only let us buy what we need. If overcrowding and a lack of beds is the real need, then the SCI Greensburg is your answer. I am sure the state does not want the burden of a shuttered facility and would be more than eager to help you make this happen. If you can have Senator Kucinich write to the governor about appointing 2 new judges before the election, then surely you can solicit your fellow Democratic leaders Kasunik, Kula, Mahoney, Daly, and Snyder to help you make this more cost-friendly alternative happen. In this uncertain economy, the timing is wrong to be spending $50 million on a new prison. This county's workforce cannot afford to pay for this. Please remember, just in the past 18 months, you county commissioners have already added to our debt $8 million for a Motorola radio system, $500,000 for a new water accounting system, and a 3% raise to more than 500 county employees. Just how much more do you think the working class in this county can afford to pay? I urge you to seriously consider this sound and viable alternative. Not only will you suit the needs of the overcrowding, but you also have hundreds of extra beds so you can be paid to house out-of-county prisoners. Lastly, the papers mentioned the 2 sites were selected for your new prison. So before you take a vote to spend monies on studies and core samplings, I, along with others, want to know where the 2 sites are located. I thank you all for your time and consideration, and I'd like to hear the answer on the 2 selected sites.
Thank you for your comments. We'll get to those answers after everybody's had a chance to make their comments.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Any other comments?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gary Brunfield. I'm the current Fayette County Sheriff and Chairman of the Fayette County Prison Board, and have been for the past 14 and a half years. I just wanted to give credit to the board that's been studying for the youth prison facility. I've seen things in the past. There's been hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on programs. We've been told that our population would double by 2010. It's more than tripled. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to other counties to house our prisoners. In fact, I've had calls from other counties wanting to know how many prisoners we'd be sending them. It's a cost factor for transportation and so forth. I just wanted to congratulate whoever's responsible, the commissioners and the prison board study, to finally take some type of action. This prison is a dungeon. I hear complaints every day from the COs. It's not a good working condition. It's not a good condition. It's totally obsolete, whether it be in a state institution that has been shut down because it's in much need of repairs, I believe, and the state can't afford to repair that. That's why I believe they're shutting down in Greensburg. But also, if the facility is built and built properly, I feel that we can house other county prisoners and also federal prisoners. The feds are paying $100 a day to house their prisoners, and that would more than make up for the difference.
Did you say Greensburg is shutting down because the facility?
I'm not sure on that. I believe that's the reason. I mean, they had to have a good reason to shut down a facility such as that, which means is transportation. I move all the prisoners in Fayette County. So far, we've moved 14,000 prisoners, 1.5 million miles. But I'd also like to see the board studying the build a new prison to keep in mind to keep the current facility, some cells there, so that I can bring the prisoners back a week before work week, instead of trying to get everybody back in one day, because they're entitled to talk to their attorney. At the present system, it's totally obsolete. Even to bring a van load of prisoners in there, you have to take them outside. There's no solid work. There's no security whatsoever. So I've got 2 deputies with 10 prisoners, all of them of which are state risk. I've seen people, elderly people, who are there to visit people that are incarcerated. They're standing there in the rain, the snow, the sleet. They're being punished for something they've never done. But once again, I just want to say thank you and hope you move forward.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other comments on this, on the agenda items? Yes, Ms. Savannah.
You want me to go?
Yes, please.
My comments are basically directed toward the money. That's my major concern right now. Our current budget for the county is around $29 million a year. We're about to go into debt for double that, okay? If somebody tells you, because I've been there, that you're only going to have to pay $40 million, that's usually the bare bones thing. By the time you add everything else on and the interest rates go up and somebody made a mistake on the plan and so you have to add this, you need, before you're over, you've doubled it. So whatever they're telling you, you may as well just double it. At $29 million budget yearly, if you went out and bought a house, when I bought my house, they told me I needed twice the amount in my salary of the cost of the house. And that was a long time ago when we cared for our money. And now we just spend it freely. And I'm asking myself, how can you build a prison and borrow 30 or 40 million, knowing it's going to go up to 60 or 80 million, when your salary is 29 million? And that's with an increase already, before we even talked about increases. I don't think we can afford it. I understand the sheriff's concern. We all have that concern. But who's going to pay for this? 30 years from now, somebody is going to be standing here saying, we can't afford this prison because it's not going to be paid for. And I know what happened here, too. Oh, we're going to get rich on the impact fee and Nemacolin taxes, the income from that. We're not. The impact fee has already been reduced by a couple of $100,000. We can expect the oil gas industry is a lot like the coal industry in that it will go up and it will go down. It's a constant up and down. And those of us who have lived long enough remember what happened. We would have boom and we would have bust. And I was a kid at that time. I remember what happened. My dad would be working 20 hours a day practically. And then all of a sudden my dad was home. And we were living off the money he made prior. And if we didn't have any money he made prior, then we really had a big garden that year and hoped we would survive. Now, today, it's a whole different thing. But the money is still the problem. You have to have enough to do it. Now, if you want to put a fund aside and start saving the money that you would use to defray the costs, because I don't know what a new site's going to cost. It could cost a fortune unless you use county land, but even then, if you do that, you may be using it for non-taxable purposes. The other part of that is, I'm not sure we need this. From what I can see, the increase that you have is coming from the 7,000 unserved bench warrants that are now being served. And so you have this influx of people coming in who don't need full-time incarceration. What they need is something to get them to pay their darn fees. That's what we need. And the ones who have a drinking problem don't need to go to prison. They need to go to rehab. And those who have a drug problem don't need to go to prison. They need to go to rehab. And to me, I would rather spend my money that way than building a brand new, spanking new prison that's going to cost God knows what when we're finished. By the time you furnish it and put up all the little accoutrements that you have to do when you do these things. State law requires this. You've got to have ramps there. You've got to do certain toilet seats. I mean, it's amazing. And to me, I don't think this is a good expenditure of money. But more than that, at this point, I don't think any of us have sufficient information. Here we sit. We've had a board meeting for, I don't know, a year. I don't even know who all the board members were. I see it in the paper, and then they'll say, and citizens. And I'm thinking, okay, who are the citizens? Are the citizens just your average Joe who's going to come out and say, hey, I don't think I can afford that? Or are all of these people committed people who want this done? And believe me, a 129-year-old prison does need some help, okay? On the other hand, I say to myself, if someone's in prison, I'm not worried about whether or not they're comfortable, okay? Only that they're safe and fed. That's about it. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't think most citizens can worry about that. So I am suggesting I would love to see some other options before we make any kind of distribution of money on a plan that nobody's seen. So if you want this, then give us your plan. Have some public meetings. Let us come and talk to you. Let us come in and ask you questions. I had preferred that you would have had somebody on that committee who wasn't involved in the law or the judiciary. They have a slanted opinion. We all know that. And I would too if I were in their position. But there are other views that haven't even been considered. For example, one person said to me, well, if we have a crowd there, why don't we just move out on the Army Reserve place out there? It's sitting there growing weeds. There are 2 nice brick buildings there. Nothing around it but a cemetery and some trees. What's wrong with using that as a temporary prison? Talk to the Army. Maybe they'll sell it to us cheap. They don't like to keep stuff around either. That could be your day prison or your few-day prison.
The Army doesn't have it anymore, it's under the General Services.
Then go to general services.
We talked about it.
Good, I'm glad to hear that, but I think those are the kinds of options that we need to have. Once we have 3 or 4 options, and the budgets that will go with them, and we know how much money we can expect, then we can never say, everybody told me how much money we were going to make on this natural gas, everybody was going to be working overtime.
Mr. Van, I'd appreciate if you could wrap
I
it
know,
up.
I'm going to wrap it up right this minute. I'm simply saying to you, we're not ready to make this decision. And you need, and I need, more information. And so I recommend that we all tell them openly and clearly how we feel about this. They haven't heard you. They've heard themselves. Thank you.
Are there any other comments on the agenda? Yes, sir.
Number 7 again. It says here a resolution, right? We're going to consider adopting a resolution. Has this resolution been made available to the public to view before it's being voted on?
That's it, that's the motion. That is the
That's it, that's all you're, that's it, because it's authorizing
That's the resolution, yeah. There's no,
with no information as to what, where, what.
there is no information to make, there's been no determination. That's a part of this process, is this resolution will allow for the next step and the next step and the next step, which will all have to be approved as well. This doesn't construct a prison. This just authorizes us to spend funds in which revenues need to take the steps for study, core samplings, and that sort of thing.
So
We're not pouring any concrete anytime soon.
the sites are selected,
I don't have any sites, I haven't voted on the site yet.
but you're voting to spend money to do samples of ground? And you
Well,
don't,
there
you're
could
saying
be
there's no site
samples,
selected?
plural, there could be
So
several.
there's 2 sites selected then?
I haven't, I said that.
We've looked at 14 sites now.
How many are there at this point
There
in
may
time?
be more. We're
How many at this time are you going to be spending money to study at this time?
Well, we're not going to spend any money until we actually determine a site is viable. We're looking at a lot of sites. We have been for some time now. So it's an ongoing process. And
Yeah, I know, this has
Mr.
been your
Kavanaugh, I would expect us to even come up with even additional sites before we select them.
And then we always have the ability to refer back to the 2 previous studies that were conducted by the county, where there were selections of the existing facility. There's a plethora of information that the county had spent large amounts of money on previously that basically recommended and basically prophesized the fact that this population would be this high during this particular calendar year. So this isn't old. We're going to learn from the mistakes of others or the good decisions that others had made in the previous studies. We have a lot to work with. Because this isn't a new issue, as you're well aware.
Well, when I first heard about this issue was the first time I met Mr. Ambrosini. He was nominated for commissioner in the Democrat primary, but he was not elected yet. I first met him at a business not far from here. He got off the phone with the district attorney at the time, and he wasn't even elected yet. He said, "Oh, I just got off the phone with the district attorney, Jack Hennicks, and we got to build a new prison here in Fayette County."
No,
That's the first words
that is not correct.
That is correct.
That is not
I have witnesses that were there. That's correct. This has been your baby before you even took the oath of office, before you even were sworn in. You've been talking about building this prison. So I don't know if this study group is just a sham to further
Mr.
the means
Kavanaugh,
where you're
I'm not going
at.
to sit here and debate this issue. If you
I know it's not debatable. It's a fact.
Make them and please.
It's a fact. I think if you're adopting some kind of a resolution, it can't just be a one-line thing. It should be made available. You should probably not do this if the public hasn't had a chance to see this. You might want to ask your solicitor if this is this being done correctly. Mr. Berkeley?
Mr. Berkeley,
Mr. Kavanaugh, you've been permitted to stand up and make some comments. You have 5 minutes.
I asked some questions. You guys chimed in, and then I'm replying to my minutes here.
no, I was just referring to the fact that we've had previous studies to refer to help us with this process.
I don't have a problem with you replying as long as I can get the chance to reply back.
I mean, you're asking, I'm just giving you my.
This is not a debate. You have a chance to make comments. and please take your seat.
I believe that this is a predetermined thing with you. I know you have said it the first time I met you, because when I first met you, you figured out who I was, and you said something about my brother when he was a commissioner being a pay-to-play commissioner. And it's been obvious since that time, and your money
You're
that
not
you...
discussing the agenda item. If you're
I'm
finished,
discussing the
please sit
agenda
down.
item because you were the first one to bring it to my attention before you were even a commissioner.
Again, Mr. Governor, in all due respect, discussing the issue is fine. Discussing issues regarding previous administrations, the commissioner's comments, when I don't know anybody else in the room. The fact remains is this is an important issue that we need to address. You're absolutely correct about that. This step here only allows us to take the next step. And we have to then make a determination on feasibility, location. There's a number of variables that come into play. The thing that we can't ignore is the problem. And that's what happened. That's what's got us to 348, got us to $900,000 or $800,000, whatever the cost is of out-of-county rentals. That's what we can't afford to ignore anymore. We have to do something, or the state's, quite frankly, going to come down and shut the thing down eventually, and then you're going to have costs that are going to escalate, because we're going to build it the way the state wants us to build it then, not the way we need to build it in a cost-effective manner that fits our current population and the projections of populations in future years. You know this as well, Eddie. We can demagogue this and politicize this all we want. The fact of the matter is, and that's fine, that's part of the game, I understand that. But the reality is we can't ignore this problem. If we do, we're going to subject not only our county, but a lot of innocent other people to situations that may occur there that we may not have a second chance on.
Okay, and I want to just reply that I don't consider this a game at any point.
No,
we're talking about
the political
we're talking
side,
about a sizable amount of money we're spending here. But with regard to that, all options should be considered. What about adding on to the existing prison, upgrading the existing prison at a much less cost, rather than going and selecting the site? I mean, if you go out, if you select a site that's 20 miles away, then you have to consider all the other additional cost of transportation and bringing people back and forth.
They're being looked at. They're going to be looked at even more thoroughly.
The public's just not up to. There's not enough information out here. You're voting to expend funds, then we don't even know what's going on.
Expend funds to take the next step. We're not voting to build anything at this time.
I don't have anything further.
Any other prison issue comments?
Just one. I don't even want to spend this money until I see something else. You don't need money to plan. You can plan.
Okay, appreciate that. Let me just say, make a few comments. First, I think that any reasonable person understands, first of all, that our 124-year-old prison is not, first of all, it's undersized. We cannot house the number of inmates that we have for the county. Last month, we housed 90 inmates, 90, outside of the county because we don't have room here. Now, that's a pretty substantial cost. In fact, and I'll repeat this, last month, we had 68 inmates in Greene County. Greene County had 62 inmates there, so we actually had more inmates in Greene County than they did. Now, Greene County, I assure you, the commissioners in Greene County are more than happy to house our inmates. And why is that? Well, we're paying their mortgage payment. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and the overcrowding is just one reason, but it's not the important one. The important reason that we need a new facility is not, it's not even because our prison is old. Obviously it can't even meet building code. When that prison was built, it wasn't even electrified. They had gas lamps. That tells you it's a little bit old. There's doorways that are made of stone that are 3 feet thick that they don't meet ADA requirements. It would be cost prohibitive to try to renovate that prison to meet current building standards. There's additional reasons why we can't expand that facility because it doesn't meet we can't even use the current prison methods of supervision, which is the direct supervisory method. It's just impossible to do that. The current prison is not safe, not only for the inmates, it's not safe for the corrections officers. We have to, this is a tough choice, there's no question. But what we're doing by establishing this prison working group last November, and we've invited the press to be at every one of the meetings. To the best of my knowledge, after every meeting, there was a story in the newspapers as to what was, the things that were conducted in that meeting. But the most important thing in this, and I want people to understand this, the most important reason we need a new facility is to help people. We cannot provide the programming in our existing facility to help people, whether it's drug and alcohol abuse, whether it's behavioral health. 25% of our inmates have behavioral health problems. We don't have adequate classrooms. We don't have we don't have any classrooms in our existing facility. We don't even have suitable counseling rooms. In fact, in our existing facility, we're using closet space for office space. I could go on, but we've established a prison working group made up of a wide range of individuals. We have four teams: the criminal justice team, the architectural team, the finance team, and the programming team. Now, the programming team is, in my estimation, is probably the most important, because those are the people that are coming up with the state-of-the-art programs to help people. Whether it's, again, the things I mentioned, including, some abilities to help people with their, just to do simple things, teach people how to do some life skills. There's people in our prison that can't even write a check. We have to help individuals with, obtain a GED in some cases. If we don't help people that's in our current facility, we're doing nothing more than warehousing them. And those people will come out on the street with no options, with absolutely zero options. They'll do the same things over and over again and be right back. Over 50% of our population is between ages 18 and 26. And the majority of those people have been back in that prison 2 and 3 times. So, and if we don't help these people understand why they're there, what mistakes they've made, what bad choices they've made in their lives, and then give them some options as to, we're working on some programming with a work release program where inmates can actually learn a job skill and then go to work for that facility after they get out of jail. There's a lot of things that we can do, but we can't do it in our current facility. Now, the 4 teams that I mentioned have been working diligently since last November. They've come up with a lot of information. We've even taken tours with other state-of-the-art prisons. First of all, I have to make one comment, and it goes really to this resolution. In any project, no matter what it is, you just don't go out and buy. First of all, to answer this question, the cost of this prison will probably most likely be in the neighborhood of $30 million. and I appreciate the 50 and the double and triple comments, but those are uninformed comments. The reason for this resolution is simply an accounting holding place to put some of the preliminary work that may require some funding expenditures. You don't go out and borrow or issue a bond for $30 million now. You know, that's going to happen sometime down the road. But there is expenditures, minor expenditures that you might need to do now. And what this allows, it allows those expenditures to be rolled over into the bond issue, you know, maybe a year from now, or whenever that may happen. And so that wherever we borrow the money from now, it gets reimbursed through the bond issue. That's all this is. I think in terms of the site locations, again, we've looked at probably 14 sites. There, you know, since we started, new sites pop up all the time. So we'll probably continue to look at some additional sites. It's just part of the process. This is we don't have a whiteboard here, but I'd get up and draw some diagrams for you. The fact of the matter is, when you plan a project, the more money you spend in planning reduces the cost of overruns and unknowns when you actually construct the project. So the more planning you do, the less construction cost. That's just a standard program management procedure. Unfortunately, right now the cost of our rentals outside the county are going up. If the trend continues, and we suspect it is, you know, we have 90, which is a record, I believe, this month. We have, you know, our current president judge has made the, you know, has already said that he wants to go out and you know, get people on outstanding warrants. That's going to add to the cost, to the situation, which is fine. I mean, we want to get people off the streets that don't belong there, but we also need to help these people. So keep in mind, the people in our county jail are only there for a maximum of 23.5 months. Anything more than that, they go to a state or a federal facility. So our opportunity to help these people with these lesser crimes is paramount. We can't ignore that. We have to stop warehousing people. And we have the technology, we have the ability to do that, and what that does, in case somebody doesn't understand the benefits of this, it makes productive citizens out of people where they can, I don't know of anybody that really doesn't want to be able to provide for themselves and their families. And we can provide them opportunities and options to do this. So, you know, we obviously need to be working in this direction. In addition, it takes people off the streets for, you know, breaking into your house and stealing your TV set, or other crimes. You know, it gets people off of drugs, and those are the things we need to focus on here. Let's keep our eyes on a ball. The building a facility to help these people in is purely secondary to the real issues here.
One comment. I've paid school taxes for the last 40 years to educate these people. They've had 12 years plus. We have been unsuccessful, apparently. in those 12 years. What makes you think you're going to turn it around in 24 months? I don't think you can. I don't think there's anything that you or the prison can do. This is a societal problem. It has to be dealt with by the society. That's my comment.
Unfortunately, doing nothing is not an option.
But
there-
building
there-
a building is not the answer. That's the problem. That's my comment. I mean, you can take it for what it's worth. I know it's not what you wanted to hear. Nobody who has.
Well, what I'm saying, either you don't hear or you don't want to hear it,
No,
because
I'm
the-
ill-informed. I'm uninformed, except that I spent 40 years working with people. You spent 40 years working with things. And I'm going to tell you, working with things is not going to solve the problem.
well, then you're obviously also misinformed of what I did during my career.
Well, that's it.
Now, the things that are looming out there. Now, I can assure you that the department, the Pennsylvania State Department of Corrections is watching us very closely. The feedback that I'm getting from them is they like what we're doing. They like this team approach to solving this problem, but I can assure you, our prison reports from the Department of Corrections are less than stellar. And if we get to a point where the Department of Corrections walks in, padlocks our jail, and we have to send everybody out, the costs are going to be staggering. So, it's better to control your own destiny than to have somebody else come in and tell you what to do. And we're doing that in a very systematic, project management controlled situation. And we've had, again, the people that are on this prison working group are across the board, from private individuals to county employees to faith-based organizations. I mean, we have a wide range of very knowledgeable and skillful people, and they're volunteering their time to support what we really need to do to help people in this county. I cannot emphasize that enough. We probably have in excess of 3,000, since last November, we probably have in excess of 3,000 hours that's been expended on this team effort, and from the volunteers and county employees alike. Nobody gets any extra compensation for this. They do it in addition to their jobs or whatever. So with that, if there's any other comments, otherwise we will move on. Okay, we have, are there any other comments on any other agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the proclamations. We have a certificate of recognition to the Fayette County Law Library Art Program. I'll read this to you and then stand over here. This certificate of recognition is for the Fayette County Law Library, showcasing art in the Law Library, June 18, 2013. Whereas the Fayette County Law Library launched an art program which showcases the talents and local artists which have also grown statewide and internationally. And whereas the art program has been successful and was recently recognized in the AALL Spectrum magazine and was a feature program on Fayette Today Show. And whereas over 5,700 people visited the Law Library in 2012 and all said they enjoyed the art program. Whereas it is fitting and proper for the citizens of Fayette County to recognize and applaud the achievement of Barry Blaney, law librarian, and Barbara Pasquale, assistant law librarian, and director of the art program for launching this art program. Now therefore, we, the Fayette County Commissioners, do hereby recognize them and the Fayette County Law Library and call upon the citizens to visit the law library and to see the artwork and signed by the commissioners. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for all your efforts and hard work.
Thank you.
And if you would like to say a few words. And
Oh, thank you. My article was published and got the national recognition, and it is the art program in the law library is open to the public. We are located on the second floor of the courthouse, and every month we have a new artist, and I'm booking currently right now August of 2017, so that's how many artists that we have in the county. And I'd like to thank all the commissioners and the judges who made the program possible, and I want to thank all of my artists who made it a success. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to mention some of my observations of the artist program. Every month I look forward to meeting the artists, viewing their artworks, and noticing the people that come into the law library to view and to enjoy the artworks. And some of these people may have had any reason to come to the law library, but the artist program brings them into the law library and the courthouse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, item 5 under Behavioral Health Administration. Consider approving the following agreements and modifications.
Make a motion that we approve the agreements and modifications as listed on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Motion
would,
carried.
if I may, I'd also like to make a motion that we approve item 4, the certificate of recognition to the Fayette County Law Library.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider approval to advertise for bids for the leasing of 2 2014 Ford Fusions or 2014 Chevy Malibu sedans or equivalent models for the Fayette County Behavioral Health Administration to replace vehicles that are nearing lease end.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval under Children and Youth Services. Consider approval of the 2012-13 purchase of service agreements between the County of Fayette through Fayette County Children and Youth Services and Amanda Como, Esquire. Rates at $65 an hour.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of the 2012-2013 purchase of service agreements between the County of Fayette through Fayette County Children and Youth Services and Fayette County Juvenile Probation and Crossroads Group Homes and Services Incorporated.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of a 2013-14 purchase of service agreement between the County of Fayette through Fayette County Children and Youth Services, Fayette County Juvenile Probation, and Crossroads Group Homes and Services for the listed items.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7, under the controller of the financial condition of the county, Mr. Controller Lally.
Commissioners, for your approval dated this 18th of June 2013, in cash in our United Bank checking account, we have $10,086,987.25. Funds that are owed to the general fund are $1,440,000 as listed on the sheet. ARC payments due to the fund as listed, $234,171.17. Central service payments as listed on the agenda, $78,686. Funds that the general fund owes, tax anticipation note, $5 million. Budget year net position, $6,839,844.42. Total 2013 revenues, $19,468,244.24. Total 2013 expenditures, $11,807,903.78. Total 2012 expenditures, which are being paid in 13, is $3,287,640.10. In our capital reserve fund balance, we have $33,583.62. Our bond fund balance is $209,011.20.
Mr. Valley, real quickly, we have got some good news regarding, rates of reimbursement, the speed. Would you like to elaborate on that? We did receive, or we're receiving the monies due to CYS, correct?
We did. Commissioner Ambrosini and I and Vince went to Harrisburg. Vince was via the telephone.
Oh, yeah, I was on the phone, yeah.
And we negotiated with the CYS director and the governor's advocate, and they agreed to refund the 2010-2011 underpayment of the county in the amount of $1.15 million.
That was the overmatch, correct?
That was the overmatch. That's the money that they have been holding from us for approximately 3 years now. So that was a very welcomed addition to our fund.
I agree. In addition, I just want to point out, Sean and I went to Harrisburg. Commissioner Zapatowski and Gina Fioria could not attend because of work-related items here in the county, but they did attend via conference call in that meeting. And you know, the reason we made the effort to go there is because we had received some information that we may not, in fact, probably would not receive that reimbursement. And that was money that was borrowed out of the general fund to pay children and youth services to provide their services for the kids of the county. So that was critical. That was an effort to certainly not only protect CYS, but protect the taxpayers of this county. And I applaud everybody's participation in that.
And Representative Mahoney, who's the one who coordinated everything, so I want to express our gratitude for that.
He was able to get the right people in the right place for us to meet with. So that was certainly a big supporting effort. So we appreciate Representative Mahoney's efforts also.
Also, Commissioners, consider for your approval the adoption of a resolution to utilize 2013 county revenue for site surveys, permit issues, and any incurred bond insurance or other costs for the possible construction of a new county prison.
Make the motion to consider adoption of a resolution to utilize 2013 county revenue for site surveys, permit issues, and any incurred bond issuance or other costs for the possible construction of a new county prison.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8, District Attorney. Consider ratification of a subscription agreement between Advent Financial Systems LLC of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and Fayette County to manage insufficient funds checks issued to retail merchants and other check payees.
Move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 9, Emergency Management Agency. Consider approval of the 2012 Fayette County Hazardous Materials Emergency Response Preparedness Assessment as per State Act 165.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of renewal of the service agreement with Staley Communications for the following equipment: 2 Alcatel microwave shots and 2 Alcatel microwave half shots at the cost of $2,660 per month.
Move.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
And I was talking to Roy, the guy, the other day. The 911 Motorola project is progressing in accordance to the time frame. Again, this was done because if we wouldn't have done it, our 911 system would have ceased to exist in a few years because the current system does not have replaceable parts. Thus, there was not a need, but a requirement to do that, or we would not have a 911 system.
In addition, we are partnering with the other counties in Region 13 to share some of the equipment which allows us to keep the cost lower. So it's again a partnering type program, cooperation, helps us not only have a state-of-the-art system which protects people, but also protects our taxpayers as well. Human Resource Department, under the bridge, consider approving the temporary hire of Colin Boyle as bridge worker 1 at $11.40 per hour, effective June 19, 2013.
Move.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of Bruce Klink as a mechanic welder at SEIU pay grade 8, step A, at $11.82 per hour, effective July 1st, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under the Commissioner's Office, consider rescinding the hire of Lauren Van Nostelm as a summer clerk.
Move.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval, excuse me, consider approving the hire of Christian Sesak as summer clerk, $7.25 an hour, effective June 20th, 2013.
Move.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under CYS, consider approving the promotion of caseworker Janelle Harris to a caseworker supervisor as non-union supervisor, pay grade 16, step B, at $42,451.50 annually, effective June 19, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the promotion of 911 dispatcher Michael Perry to equipment systems analyst at non-union supervisory pay grade 10 at $13.05 an hour, effective June 18, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the promotion of part-time 911 dispatcher
Table. I make a motion to table.
We'll table this one because we don't have enough information.
Motion to table.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under fact, consider ratifying the resignation of part-time bus driver Harry Rittenauer, effective May 18, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of James Shoemaker as a part-time bus driver at the rate of $11.40 an hour, effective June 17, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under Human Resources, consider approval.
I make a motion that we table the item. The contract was not ratified.
Second, all those in favor?
Meaning that they voted it down, is that?
That is correct.
Consider approving the volunteer internship. All those in favor? I second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the volunteer internship of Penn State Fayette student Rebecca Johnson, effective June 24th, 2013.
Move.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under the Fayette County Behavioral Health Agency, consider ratifying the resignation of Joe A. Kuplo, Clerk Typist 2, effective June 14, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider ratifying the resignation of per diem van driver Eugene Barchetti, effective June 6, 2013.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under Information Technology, consider approving a motion to reject all proposals for FRP 13-07 Computer Needs Assessment.
Move the table. This was going to be reviewed by Kevin. Oh, we're rejecting this, correct?
Yes.
Reject. I'll make the motion to reject. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 12, Office of Human and Community Services, consider awarding RFQ 13-01 to the following: Brownsville Republic fixed route to Brownsville bus lines for $48 for fiscal year 13, 14, and 50 for fiscal years 14 and 15. Brownsville, I'll just read them all. Brownsville Express fixed route to Brownsville bus lines, 48 for fiscal year 13, 14, and 50 for fiscal year 14, 15. Masontown Fairchance fixed route to Central Cab Company at 5175 for fiscal year 13, 14, and 5315 for fiscal year 14, 15. Wharton Township, Henry Clay, and Stewart Township's shared ride services to Mountain Citizens Action Group for fiscal year 13, 14, and 14, 15 at shared ride fare structure reimbursement rates.
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider awarding bid 1308 as listed.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
That's best as 129, 133, 149, and
Awarding the
161.
bid for what?
To sell.
This is to sell.
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approving third-party sponsorship agreements for fiscal year 13-14 with the Fayette County Blind Association, Chestnut Ridge Counseling, Southwestern Pennsylvania Area Agency on Aging, and St. Teresa Church, Uniontown Hospital, and ARC.
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving contract with Fayette County Community Action Agency for administration of food bank program for fiscal year 13 and 14.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of advertising agreements for fiscal year 13 and 14.
Move.
Second, as listed.
Second. Who moved?
Vince moved, I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the following service agreements for fiscal year 13 and 14 as listed.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item 13 under Public Works, consider awarding bid 13-10 for grass cutting to the following locations
It's
as listed.
it's grass cutting, trash removal, inspections. I don't want everyone to think that it's
Just-
those amounts are only for grass cutting. Second.
Yes, motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under 14, under tax claim, consider removal of parcel number 12-03-0217 in Fayette City Borough from the repository bid list because it was incorrectly placed in the repository list, and consider approval to reject the bid of Francis M. Surrey for $526 for the parcel.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item under the Commissioners, under Board Appointments, consider approving. Did we interview all the board appointments?
We had the interviews for the WIB. Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion that
We interviewed 2 individuals for WIB. There were the WIB board, the Westmoreland Fayette actual board sent in a letter and had 3 other names that those individuals were called in and interviewed them.
I make a motion that we appoint George Franks to the Workforce Investment Board for a 3-year term to expire 31 December 2015 in the business category.
Yeah, it's not a 3-year term, it's to complete
The balance of the term, I'm sorry,
Balance
yes.
of the term. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I also make a motion, and I'm going to pronounce his name, I apologize incorrectly, Joe Patula, thank you. I knew I was going to pronounce it wrong. Joe Patula to the balance of a business, the business appointment, Workforce Investment Board for a 3-year term to expire for the balance of the term. Let me rephrase.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Under the next board appointment is for the Fayette County Redevelopment Authority for a 5-year term to expire 2018. I'd like to table that because I don't think we had a chance to interview people yet. So, do I have a second on the?
No, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider ratification of the following transfers as listed for a total debits of $21,548 and credits the same.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of the May 23rd, 2013 regular commissioner meeting minutes.
Move.
Second. All those in favor?
Second.
Aye. Motion carries. Consider authorizing a termination of lease letter to the landlord for Magistrate District 12-2-01 and 14-304 effective December 31st, 2013.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider rescinding the Commissioners' meeting minutes of March 19, 2013.
Me too.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Motion to take no action on the next 2 items.
Well, it's on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to reject the motion of rescinding the minutes of March 2013.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I mean, we don't need to correct anything. There's nothing to correct. Do we need anything to correct, Mr. Berkeley? I didn't see anything to correct. My motion was very clear.
I thought there was the issue of something that was added in the minutes.
There was
What was in the minutes that should not.
Oh,
So the
yeah,
minutes
oh,
as
yes, okay,
written
that's
are
correct.
correct.
My motion at the March meeting
Yeah, the motion
did not
was-
reflect, so we need to amend that.
Right, we did.
My motion at the March meeting, in March, I had made a motion that we allocate a percentage of dollars to the townships, there were some other organizations as well. That motion did not reflect any requirement for a match or anything of that nature. Somehow that
language on that had changed, but my motion did not reflect any specific requirements to that effect. So that motion, what was do you have the language of the motion that I had made? It was just to award the specific percentages, so we could go with that again, so we know exactly what. I had allocated 10% to the townships, 4% to the fire departments, 1% to the Connersville Chamber, as well as 2% to the Connersville Chamber and the Fayette Chamber. And then I did community action. I don't know what I did. Let me find out. Yeah. Don't hold me on. Yeah, give me a copy of it.
There you go. We got it, thank you.
Okay. Eyes are starting to fail me. 10% for the townships, 4% for fire departments, 4% for the airport authority, 2% for the Fayette Chamber, countywide, 1% for the Connersville Chamber, the city of Connersville specifically, 3% for the Fayette County Redevelopment Authority, and 1% to Fayette County Community Action, for a total of 25%. That's the way my motion was made, and obviously we need to allow the minutes of March 2013 to reflect said motion.
So I think you need to...
Correct the minutes.
You need to correct the minutes, but you needed to pass the motion, consider rescinding the commissioner meeting minutes of March 19th, 2013, and then consider, the next motion would be consider accepting corrected minutes.
Okay, so well, why don't you guys kind of jump in before we make the motion? I mean, silence is golden until you break the rule.
Amy was looking at me like, no.
Well, looking doesn't exactly get us to the point. So if we can make, what action do we need to take?
We have to rescind.
The rescission.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we rescind the previous motion that rescinded the motion of the March 19th, 2013 Commissioner minutes, and that we make a motion to accept that motion to rescind the minutes, and then subsequently move on to the next motion.
Okay, what's your question?
No, just letting you know that that's
If I didn't just confuse the hell out of everybody.
That's the resolution that was passed.
You need to-
You want me to say it again?
you have your password.
That's why we're correcting the minutes, because if it's, I was not understanding correcting the minutes corrected the resolution.
No.
No, we need.
Right, that's why I wanted to place it on the agenda.
Was
And-
Silas, or was that motion accepted?
To rescind the previous motion, and then,
And then go back
yes,
To rescind the motion.
agenda.
yes. So I'm making a motion to rescind the previous vote, previous motion and vote.
Right.
Okay. Second, all those in favor?
Abstain.
Aye.
Now I'll make a motion that we rescind the Commissioner meeting minutes of March 19th, 2013.
Second, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Now I'm going to make a motion that we correct the record of the minutes of March of 19 of 2013 to reflect a motion was made by Commissioner Zabatowski, seconded by Commissioner Ambrosini, to grant the approval of the resolution utilizing 2013 Act 13 money in the following manner: 10% for the townships, 4% for county volunteer fire departments, 4% for Fayette County Airport Authority, 2% to Fayette County Chamber, that's a countywide organization, 1% for the Connersville Area Chamber of Commerce, 3% for Fayette County Redevelopment Authority, and 1% for the Fayette County Community Action, total of 25%. This is for 2013 Act 13 money. That was my motion to disperse those funds. If we're going to discuss anything else regarding those funds, that's going to have to be made, I mean, obviously discuss it another time, but that was my motion on that day.
The motion before that's on the agenda says, consider accepting corrected commissioner meeting minutes for March 19th.
And I'm giving the motion that I made that day, which was a verb.
That's not correcting the minutes. Okay,
He's-
what needs to be done is there's a resolution that needs to be corrected, just to eliminate that requiring application for specific project and matching funds.
Right, that's the only thing that needs to be.
I didn't read that.
I didn't read that.
He didn't read that. This is what he read in the minutes. It was incorrectly, there was another part added to it during the transcription, and that was really the error, not the reading of it, not the actual motion.
The only thing that needs to be done is to correct the commissioner meeting minutes for March 19th, 2013 to reflect deleting any notation regarding
Specific matching funds and application process.
period. And
Well,
leave the
that's
rest
why
of
I read my motion the way I wanted it to be reflected.
but the motion is on the agenda.
No,
Okay.
Commissioner, I was basically omitting those two provisions out of there. Please continue, I apologize.
I believe what he did, unless you're seeing something different than I am. He corrected it in accordance with what he actually said at the March 19th, 2013 meeting.
Yeah, that's all I did.
I'm not following.
I'll make also in that motion that if we're still on the floor, we vote on it now. Okay, that we omit requires application for specific project and matching funds from that resolution. Correct, Commissioner?
I think it's a matter of minutes and
Minutes.
resolutions. There's two separate issues.
Well,
You're doing the minutes, and
The resolution-
Commissioner Zimmerman saying
I-
the resolution needs to be changed as
I
well. What
think
he's
I
doing the
think that-
minutes doesn't change the resolution.
How many pages are your minutes? 30-some pages.
So
okay?
we need to-
The only thing you're correcting out of 30 pages worth of minutes, and this is the agenda item, is to delete any notation from the minutes of March 19th, 2013 regarding application for specific projects. That in itself allows the chief clerk to go through and delete 5 words. Requires application for specific project and matching funds, or 6 words. And that's all that needs to be done, because what's before us is correcting the minutes of the March 19th. That's it.
I just said it.
That's what he
Right.
accomplished.
So it's just, we still have to, it's not on the agenda, but you're still going to have to address the resolution that was passed and signed. That's going to have to be
The
corrected.
resolution never had
No,
those 6
no,
words
no,
in it.
we're gonna have to
Well,
avoid that.
yes,
We're
it
gonna have to
did. Yes,
delete,
it-
we're
yes, it
gonna have to go back
And
and.
that's what I wanted to do. You guys can.
So we have a motion on the floor to make the change of the resolution,
Of the
but
meeting minutes.
the meeting minutes. Then we're gonna go back and we gotta reflect the resolution, then. Eliminate the resolution.
Fix the resolution.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why that happened.
Who inserted the language after your resolution?
Wasn't-
Where did it
Who did that?
It was inadvertently put on a hard copy.
By whom?
That couldn't be inadvertent. Somebody had to write that.
Well, it could have been,
It was probably an older draft copy.
it could have been the possibility that they looked at grant applications and they inserted it based on traditional requirements of grant.
Transcriptionist doesn't do that.
I'm here to correct it because, Ms. Havana, it was my motion, I made the motion. My motion, I want to reflect accurately in the record. It is going to reflect accurately in the record. There could have been what ifs and what happened and all that. The fact remains, it could have been the chief clerk looked at grant applications and just assumed there were match and application requirements. I don't know. The bottom line is my intent on that day was to disperse 25% in accordance to my motion. That's what I want to correct and move on.
Don't you feel angry and upset that that was put into that language?
But
Because obviously you've upset a lot of people. in this room.
Mr. Chris, anger and upset is an emotion that is counterproductive to getting anything good done. If I was angry and upset every time I walked into a commissioner's affiliated venue, whether it be a meeting or something, nothing would get done. I want to move anger and upset away from it and talk about good things and getting the solutions solved. And that's part of this right now, is to solve a problem, not to get angry and upset and point the finger and blame somebody for it.
I think it's not anger and upset.
That's called passing the buck.
No, the problem.
This is not a debate.
It's not a discussion. We
This is a business meeting, we will conduct it as such. I will second the commissioners' meeting to correct the motion to correct the meeting minutes of March 19th, 2013. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Well, I think you do need
To change the resolution, we need to change the resolution.
Correct. To delete those.
And it's,
I didn't count them. The
what
commissioners-
resolution number is it, Abe?
It's on the program.
I also want to amend,
That's what I brought up at the last Tuesday's meeting, to place on the agenda so we could address those issues.
I also want to amend resolution
We have to amend the
13.
agenda.
We have to amend the agenda to do that. And I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for the purpose of amending Resolution 13-03-19-40. That amendment reflected monies that were to be dispersed of Act 13 revenue for 2013. I make a motion to amend the agenda to amend Resolution 13-03-19-4.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye. Public
Motion
comment.
carries. Is there any public comment on this particular motion?
Commissioners, I'm AJ Barney, one of the top supervisors of
Mr.
Perry
Barney.
County. Also,
Mr. Bonnie, please try to keep your comments to 5 minutes.
very short. We just
Bless
want to
you.
thank you very much for righting the wrong and correcting the wording. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And there's a motion to amend the resolution. Amend the agenda to amend the resolution.
No, that's already.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye. We did that, so we can go ahead and make the
Okay.
motion to amend the resolution.
I make a motion to amend Resolution 13-03-19-40 to admit in the resolution the following, to delete, omit, delete, requires application for specific project and matching funds. It's like C-SPAN here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
But who seconded?
I made the motion.
No one seconded, but
I'll second it.
you got it?
Okay. Are there any public announcements or public comments? Yes, sir.
Jack Lawver, Brownsville Borough, and I applaud you, Township Supervisors, to come out and, on this issue. But I would like to ask the commissioners in the future that all municipalities of Fayette County be considered in the distribution of these monies, because we do have adverse effects in our municipalities also. And so any future allocations, I'm requesting that all of us be considered in that request. And just to add to something that happened at the beginning of the meeting on the prison issues, you think what's happening to our society, we're spending more money to house and educate prisoners than we are to educate our youth of the state. And that's why our society's going the way it is, I feel. Thank you.
Without any objection, I'd like to add to the record letters of support regarding item number 7, which was the in regard to the possibility of construction of a new facility. I won't read them, but I have letters from Judge Wagner, Sheriff Brownfield, Register Wills Warman, Recorder of Deeds Molosky. I'd like that these be entered in as a part of the record. Without any objection, if anybody's an objection to that.
Without objection. Yes, sir.
Mr. Ward.
Mayor Ward.
Thank you, Commissioners. Lester Ward, Mayor of Brownsville. You've already gone over the 2013 Act for 2013, for the year 2013, Act 13. I was most disappointed in not taking in the money from any other units or activities with the fact that you mentioned the townships, but you did not mention the boroughs. We also are part of Fayette County. And we should at least come in for a 1% or some consideration, because
I know in Brownsville barrels, we have trucks running over our streets and roads. We don't have any gas towers, but that being the case, then I use my own money to correct one back in one of our fields back there. But as Jack stated, in the future, when you consider townships, please consider us all, because we are a part of the Fayette County also. And I thank you for your consideration.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mayor Ward. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Kellinger. I'm on the prison committee, the architectural team leader. My responsibility is site location and architectural design. I've heard the comments in here today, and many of them are incorrect. But since our first meeting of the group on November the 8th, the 4 teams comprised of approximately 24 volunteers have continued to seek information on how this project can come to a final resolution. To that end, many hours have been devoted to ensure site location, architectural design, funding, programs, judicial, and inmate needs are met. In order to ensure our work is on the right track, other counties that have built new jails have been contacted and asked what they have done and what needs should be added or corrected so we can benefit from their knowledge and experience. I've been in contact with Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, their Office of County Inspections, and they provided professional insight on our current facility, which does not meet current health, safety, and welfare standards of inmates and staff. Now, in addition, numerous other people have been contacted and interviewed for information, all of which does not violate the consolidated statutes of the Sunshine Act. When our group finalizes the location, the design, funding, and programs, it will be presented to the prison board for their review, addressed to the public for public hearings, and finally, the approval of the Board of Commissioners. Now, included in this process, requests for proposals and/or bids will be necessary for the project. Our prison group chairperson has kept abreast of our work as a matter of routine, and we're looking forward to a final decision that all of Fayette County will be proud of. Information that will jeopardize a third party or their interest will remain in-house in the committee until a final decision is made. And I want to emphasize there's been no final decisions made on anything. There's not 2 sites that we're looking at. As of yesterday, there are 15. So the people of Fayette County cannot afford to miss this opportunity for the building of a new county jail, having all points considered and correct decisions made. But there is a lot of information that we're gathering, and the information needs to be collected so we do this project right if it is approved. So keep in mind what you hear on the street from other people. Just take it lightly. As I said, as the architectural team leader, I have the information that's corrected and we've collected. And as I said, a lot of it today is just speculation. And when the time is right and everything is done, you will hear exactly where we're at. And as I said before, if you have any other questions, I'm available to answer them for you. Thank you, Commissioners.
One question, if I might, Mr. Killinger. Have you looked into the plan that I think Commissioner Zimmerling had a national representative do about 1.5 years ago on does our prison currently meet the standards necessary and whether or not renovations could be made? I thought that was another option, or should be an option in all of this.
I don't know how thorough that was regarding.
She spent a day or 2
I mean, I'm talking about
going
the
over.
architectural integrity. I don't think that they got into, I don't know how thorough detailed that was. I don't think it really got into.
We weren't planning on building.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it talked about
No,
any
but
significant.
I'm saying there should be options other than building. That's my point. And according to the report that came out about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, done by Angela, what was the name of the group that did the study, the woman? It was the federal prison something or the other.
It's an independent body, I know that, I don't know the name of it, Commissioner.
I believe it was the National Institute of National Institute of Corrections.
That's it.
The National Institute of Corrections came in, took some time to go through the prisons, to take a good look at it, to say what they thought about it. That was never really publicized that much, but it was an option, and I would like to see that option still there.
And there was a lot of policy review of our policies, procedures, manual, that sort of thing.
That's all a part of it. It's the running of a prison. It's not just the building, okay? And this person looked at that in some detail, and certainly at that level should have some say, or should at least that report should have some part in the considerations that you're making.
Ms. Stefanik, that report is part of the process. It will be considered
By
just
the
by the prison working group.
No, by the public. All I'm saying to you is, you have set your mind on building a new prison. That's clear. I'm saying add the other options to it so that people can make a true choice.
Well, that's
not just a one choice. It's like, you know, you can vote yes or no. That's not good enough. What you need are several options. We can renovate this, we can buy that, we could build a new prison, whatever those options are. And you should have some plans on that, and what it would cost to do each of those options. What I see right now is, you've made up your mind and we're going for it. That's it.
Well, let me point out a couple of things to you, Ms. Stefanik. First of all, the report that was done by the NIC representative was purely an operational assessment. It had nothing to do with.
I still think we need to put it out there for people to look at.
If you may finish that, it didn't have anything to do with the specific building renovation. Please continue, Commissioner.
The second.
Please put it out there. I don't care. I mean, you don't have to defend it. Just put it out there for people to look at and see what would be needed to accomplish just what they said. I don't know why we're so afraid
Commissioner,
to put the
I mean,
information out.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Let's give her a shot.
Yeah. Ms. Stefanik, first of all, that is one small part of the wealth of information that we've been accumulating for 8 months now, and that focused on you know, a very narrow perspective. So that, you know.
Maybe that's what we need, a narrow perspective.
I'm
saying you're making decisions for all of us. Let us see everything.
Well, one of the other things I want to point out too, and it goes back to my original comments. If we put people, we're doing that now. My God, we're paying a premium running inmates outside agencies, and I will tell you this, that's warehousing. We're not, when we send people outside.
That you choose to use. I mean, I don't want to go there. Just take my thoughts into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Under the current resolution that was passed, how much money will be expended on the testing? Is there a limit?
No, it's open-ended.
I don't think there's an answer to that question because we haven't taken that step yet.
I mean, do you have any idea though how much you're set aside to?
I mean, I'm awaiting information from the prison group.
Are you referring to what which resolution?
The resolution, item 7.
Item 7.
Yeah, that was passed. Is there any specific number that if you reach 250,000 doing your study and it doesn't look like it's
No, we're not.
At that point, or
We're past the study point. Let me make this clear. We're past the study point. There's been countless studies that are collecting dust on shelves. We're in a process of actually progressing with what we need to do for this county. Again, let me be clear. This account creation to accumulate any money that we will spend in preparatory work is purely a holding place to roll it into a bond issue later on. So whatever money we spend will become part of the bond issue, and then we'll be reimbursed to whatever accounts we get it to.
Well, the $30 million in projection, does that include interest costs over the terms of the loan over the 30 years? Is that everything, or what will be the cost of the facility?
Well, the cost of the facility.
So over the 30-year period.
Well, I'd have to ask the $30 million is the cost of construction. The bond issue will, once we don't know until we acquire a bond issue, we won't know what the interest will be over the life of the bond.
So then over the 30 years, you have no clue what the prison's gonna cost?
No, we have no idea.
Oh,
No, you have a fixed amortization schedule. If we borrow $30 million in today's money, all things being equal, at a rate of 3.65%, that will be, that's what it is as of today, but that changes according to economic conditions. That payment will be $2,300,000 a year, and it will encompass all of our debt service. Of course, it's a lot of money.
So what's the total cost over the 30 years?
Take 2.3 million times 30 would be 60 million and some odd dollars.
There you go. That tells you everything. That's the whole story. It's gonna cost you 60 million to borrow 30 million,
No.
and then there's the overrun.
That's actually not how it works because you have the time value of money. $30 million borrowed today, by far at 3.65% interest, will be worth less money than 60 million in 30 years
I'm
from
not
now.
worried about that. I'm worried about paying the payment of 2 million something or other every year. Where's it coming from?
Well, first of all, we're paying, this year alone, how much will we pay in Grant County this year, Mr. Dillon?
Well, I want to address
Not
one
2
thing.
million.
Well, half of that, for sure.
Come on, Vince, let's be real about
Mr.
it.
Bennett, no, let's be real about it.
We have
Let's really be real. Mr. Dolly, what will be the payment to Green County this year?
70,000, 100,000, 500,000, I don't know.
Right, you don't, so will you let me
That's
tell you?
the point. We're trying to provide, the payments to Green County are going to be nearly 50% of the cost of wages.
Why?
Right now,
What's
Dr.
happening?
Havanek, as of today, we have spent $513,969 in out-of-county rentals.
Well,
That
you've been
comprises
paying that for
Cambria.
30 years.
If we do nothing, it will be worse than that because they will close our
Well, is
prison and
is
ship
somebody
all
going to
of
come in
our
overnight and
inmates
fix
out.
that thing? I mean, if current statistics
You are
continue.
not listening to me. I am worried about how we're going to pay for this over the next 30 years. We have a budget of 29 million. You are going to spend at least 60 to 90 million. And you now say, oh, but look, we're sending out $1 million a year. Well, you're going to put 2 million into that rather than $1 million, okay? And even though you have, well, let me put it this way. Right now, you're saying you might spend $1 million a year to ship these people out. To build this new prison, you're going to pay over $2 million a year. So you tell me how this is going to help this county. It's not.
Let me tell you how it's going to help the county. The prison expenditures for 2012 were $6,004,000. Of that, in addition, $690,153 went to outsourcing.
But I'm still, that doesn't matter. You're still going to have operating costs if you have a brand new prison.
But when you create efficiencies through a new system, costs
You're not
decrease.
going to make that many efficiencies. I've seen the efficiencies. They built a brand new furnace out there. They put it all, it was air conditioned, the building, I went in there, you couldn't breathe in there. So then they had to put in an air conditioning system.
Where are you?
Where are you
What I'm
referencing?
referring to is I've seen this all before, more than once. And it isn't just here.
Did you work at a prison?
I said I have seen this process.
I'm not asking you a question.
Well, yeah, if you want to call Penn State a prison.
Oh.
Okay? Think about it. I've watched the biggest planners in the world make these plans and watched them just collapse everywhere. They built the second building. They dug into the ground. They did find that there was pyrite. Did they pay any attention to it? No. They dug a great big hole and they had to remove all the coal, then fill the hole, and then build the building on top of that.
And that's why we're doing core sampling.
Well,
so
yeah,
that
but
we
not
don't
at
fall into
14
those
sites.
pitfalls.
And I don't even want to build that. If there are buildings that we could use, let's use them.
As a former contractor, I can assure you that our prison is not.
I don't trust
being able to
contractors.
be-
Don't talk to me. And you another contractor, I don't believe anything you guys tell me. You tell me, oh, it'll cost you $1,000. Next thing I know, I'm paying $2,000. No, you don't give the whole full figure. You put a figure out there that is attractive to the person. And then, as you find the real variabilities as you go on, You just keep adding on. Oh, hey, that sewer that you put in, you've got to pay $5,000 instead of $2,500 because we ran into whatever. Yeah.
That's the reason we're going through this process.
It's not going to stop it. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
I disagree.
I know you do.
I disagree because project management.
You're allowed to disagree.
Policies are, you know, the fact of the matter is, they're just
Al,
like physical laws.
I don't want to fight with you anymore about this.
If you employ the physical laws, the results are going to be predictable.
No, they're not, because you can never, ever, ever see all the variables as a human being. I don't care what plans you draw, you cannot see all the variables. You look at your own life and you will see that those variables change. And things change. So whenever I do this, I know I have to build in the extra sum to take care of whatever, because I'm never going to get the real cost at the beginning. That's it.
Thank you for your expertise.
I have a lifetime of it.
I have a question. Maybe Mr. Killinger can answer this. You said there was 15 as of today's site selection, potential sites.
That's correct.
Is one of the alternatives actually looking into renovating what we have? Is that as an alternative
Never
even being considered?
Yes, that's one.
So that's one of the 15?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or any other comments? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Ambrosini, I asked you in the beginning of this meeting, and now that you've voted upon spending this money, where these locations were at these sites. And you didn't want to answer me, and you told me that question would be answered later, and you didn't want to answer Mr. Kavanaugh. Now I'm going to ask you again, since now you voted to spend the money. Tell us where the primary sites are at.
First of all, we're not voting to spend any money on
Core samplings. Tell me where you're going to do the core samplings.
We don't know yet.
Let's eliminate. He eliminated one. Let's eliminate another. The Connellsville Airport. Are we looking at the Connellsville Airport for a prison? Yes or no? Mr. Killinger?
We're looking for
Is the
sites.
Connellsville Airport a projected site?
The area around the airport is. Yes.
The airport, not around the airport, the airport property is off the table?
We can't decide anything on the airport because the FAA is involved. As I said, there's third-party interest involved in these things, and you can't answer these questions.
That's my point.
You got third-party interest here and legal issues, so I can't come out and stand up in this room and tell you where all these 15 sites are. Dunbar Township, North Union, there's sites in those locations, there's sites in Franklin Township. I can't tell you where they're at or who owns them at this point because we're still gathering information. I don't know how to make it any clearer.
Well, you made it a little bit clearer. You just picked 3 townships up. You did make it a little bit
German
clearer.
Township,
Okay, there's 4 now.
Luzerne Township.
There's 5.
Huh?
There's 5
And I
different
can
areas.
go on, but I can't pinpoint the locations. I have that information,
Okay.
and I can't release it because of the legal ramifications of the property owners and the sellers.
But to clarify, the Connellsville Airport is not on your target for that prison.
That vicinity is.
Okay, not the airport.
The vicinity is.
Okay, vicinity. And Mr. Ambrosini, one other thing, you made mention about rehabilitating prisoners. I think that's a noble thought, but I think you're so far off base with that. You know, we all grew up. When we all had, most of us had mothers and fathers who instill values in us. Those who didn't, I feel sorry for. But we all went through an educational system and a school system who taught us right or wrong. We all make choices as adults to get down the right path or the wrong path. Some choose the wrong path, and those are the ones that are sitting over in that building right now in that jail. For you to think you're going to rehabilitate those people and get them out the door with a change of attitude, you're in some dreamland. You're in a bizarre world. It's never going to happen. There are dyed-in-the-wool criminals. The penal system we have now in place has workshops, wood shops, metal shops. Put them guys through it, and most of them come out to turn out to be losers again. That's the unfortunate fact of a criminal. We all have a choice. Our school system is to where these people's lives need to be changed with teachers. B, we have alcohol, drug, family spousal abuse. We have all these programs in place in Fayette County. Why do you want to duplicate these services in a jailhouse? There's lots of places for people with problems to go to get their lives sorted out and correct, both publicly and privately for those who can't afford it. For you to think you're going to change all this with a new prison, I think you're in dreamland. And that's my story. You're spending $50 million of my money. And I work hard for my money, and I pay my whole ticket, and I've had my whole life. There's certain things in this county that need to be done. I'd rather you guys pick 50 $1 million projects to try and help and enhance our community and take a roll of the dice on 50 items when we all damn well know a prison is going to bring nothing back to this county. It enhances nothing. It brings us no pride. It does nothing to help any average law-abiding citizen to us to spend the $50 million. It's craziness. Especially when SCI Greensburg can be had for free. Literally for free. For the taking with your people. You could go up there and get it and start busting them there tomorrow. You have all your employees up in Greensburg still. You'd be cutting nobody out of the program. Everybody'd be in the loop. You'd make money. And Mr. Killinger says they're getting rid of that prison because it's dilapidated and wore out. Well, you said it, and I appreciate that. You're not certain of that.
You're misquoting me. I never said that.
That was Sheriff Brownfield.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sheriff. I don't know if that's true or not either, because I don't know all the specs. Nevertheless, the building was turnkey as of last week. Turnkey, literally. Intact with everything. Why not lease, buy, own, or get for free that facility? You've got nothing to lose. You've got an 80-acre parcel. You disturb nothing. You take nothing off the tax rolls. With the 80 acres, do we have mineral rights up there with the 80 acres? Can you expand on that property? Certainly you can. There's every opportunity in the world for that place to be reused to all of our benefits. Commissioners, we didn't elect you three to be kings of the kingdom. We don't need kings. We need representatives who think of us, who paid a ticket down here. And I think that's being neglected far too often down here.
Now, that's my concern, is that we don't neglect the problems and, again, ignore them and just pass them on to some other Board of Commissioners. That's the easy way out.
But you have
let me finish, please. Let me finish. Before I make a decision, first of all, Mr. You had your chance.
Greensburg is irresponsible.
Mr. Chris, first of all, the Greensburg facility is just that. It's in Greensburg, Westmoreland County. So we don't know all the particulars there, whether we're allowed, whether or not the courts would approve it. I mean, we have to have courts approval to have transportation. Please, there's a lot more that goes into this.
Timmy, Debbie, Richie, all them can make it happen.
And we'll talk to Timmy, Debbie, Richie, Joey, Johnny, Lucy, the rest of the...
They'll make it happen.
But my point is just this, is that I don't want to ignore the problems. Because if you ignore them, you're passing them on to somebody else. Don't you agree? When you want your child educated, you take the steps. When you want your car washed, you take the steps. If you don't, it gets dirty, and somebody else is going to do it. The problems are going to be more severe.
But you're right. We take the steps.
But we have, as leaders, we have to at least take the initiatives that are going to allow people to voice opinion, make determinations on what is the most effective way of handling the situation. And this prison group is, again, I'm not a part of it. I've not taken a role in it. They're doing a very good job at making determinations that's going to allow these three individuals sitting at this table to make decisions. Hopefully the prison board the ability to make informed decisions. That's a part of the process. But I'm not going to ignore a problem. It'd be easy for me to say, you know what, to heck with this, let somebody else make this very difficult decision 2 years from now or 3 years from now or 10 years from now. When the problem is more severe, it costs triple, that would be the easy decision for me to make. But it's not the right decision for me to make. The right decision for me to make is to take this, analyze it for what it's worth, based on what the county, how the county will reflect with the new facility today or with not a new facility today. What's the ramifications to the taxpayers 5 years from today? 5 years from today, there might be three new board members sitting here. Ms. Havanek may show up at a meeting and say, "What are you guys going to do about the prison? It's costing me $1,200,000 in out-of-county rentals."
Well, it's better than 2 of them.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. But the bottom line is, we cannot ignore problems. We have to at least study them, analyze them for what they're worth, and then make decisions.
I agree with your theory more, but one thing you have, not you personally, how come these alternatives were not thought about by all these people?
Mr. Chris,
you have one. Everyone said build new.
We've looked at Mr. I've explored the 429th personally.
You have, but we have.
Mrs. Van, then I'll call you with everything. I'll go through you, okay? And then we'll work through your phone.
Put on a referendum to see how many people in this county want to vote for your $50 million prison. I'll guarantee you get
probably right.
Referendum when you do it.
But tell me.
And Sheriff, nobody wants to cheat you out of anything. We want you to do your job. This isn't about you, it's about us
Sheriff,
spending
let me ask you a
our
question.
money.
You've been here for how many
Our money.
years?
14 and a half.
When you got here, did they talk about the need of a new prison?
This started from day one. They did a study in 2001. They spent $350,000.
Hold on, excuse me.
May I finish, please?
Sure.
They spent $350,000. 400 bed facility at that time was $15 million. Here we are 10 years later. Now it's $40 million.
Something needs to be done.
Yeah,
I think everybody can
I don't
agree.
care where. Greene County's filled up. Washington County's filled up. Cambria County's filled up. I'm taking prisoners to Beaver and Butler now.
Hey, listen, and on what you just said there, my idea with the SCI Greensburg, there's 850 beds. If you only need 400 for Fayette County, you can rent 400 beds a day for what you just told me. 400 and 100 a day, you're making a hell of a lot of money. You could be the new hotel in the penal system. Why not go for it? It's self-sufficient, we help ourselves, and we solve a problem with our own inmates.
Actually, Mr. Chris, Westmoreland County charges us $78 a day per inmate, where Greene County charges us $55. So that's not an economically viable option.
And that's not what he's saying.
That's not what I said. We can get their money. If the sheriff just said all these counties are overcrowded, we'll take them all at Greensburg. You got 400 extra beds to fill. Now you start making money to have this prison self-sustainable. Now you want to go with your idea about rehabilitating convicts? Do it up there.
Mr. Chris, do you have knowledge of what it would cost to buy that facility and then to renovate it up?
Hold it. I do have the knowledge of what it costs to buy that facility. To renovate it, no. And who says it needs renovating? It was turnkey a week ago for X amount of prisoners. It didn't need renovated. It's turnkey. Turnkey. You know what it's assessed at, Commissioner? It's assessed at $3 million. What's Westmoreland County's ratio on assessment? And maybe your solicitor, Mr. Berkeley, will know. I think it's 4 times assessed value on a piece of property. So if the Westmoreland, the Greensburg SCI is assessed at $3 million. Times it by 4, their ratio. You got a $12 million building sitting there. If you had to pay, I'm telling you, it's right. I just looked on a computer yesterday. It's their assessment and the ratio. If you had to literally pay the $12 million to Westmoreland County or the state for the assessed value, you're still getting a better deal than blowing 50, 80, 90 million and playing games for 2 years to get that far. You can be turnkey operation today, and we both know in the water negotiation, with your Democratic leaders down here, you're not going to pay $12 million for that facility. You'll end up paying $1. Because the state wants rid of it, they see a good cause, and on top of that, maybe even Westmoreland and Fayette County could partner and both use and both share the expenses of the facility, and it's a win-win for our whole region.
I heard a lot of assumptions there, but I didn't hear much in the way of facts. No.
Well, that's because he hasn't studied it for a year.
I'm not the prison board member. I'm only going on one day, looking on a computer and making a couple of phone calls for a viable option. Now, honestly, I take it totally offensively that this whole prison working group, and everybody knows that Greensburg SCI is that, every one of us, and every one of us know this closing. Why would you not even think of that option? Or privatization. It's almost an insult to everybody in this room in this county to say, hey, we haven't even looked at those that are smacking us in the face. We want to build new. Rah, rah, rah. We want to be the king of prisons. We want a Taj Mahal for a prison. Here's the problem. We can't afford it.
One of the aspects of privatization that I explored when I first got elected was that when privatization is very difficult to achieve because they want to build an 800-900 bed facility. They want to bring people from all over the region, be it states, because it's a revenue generator at that point in time. One of the negatives is we don't have a facility that would meet standards, and they would have to go up to 800-900 beds. And the concern that you would have, do you want to bring outside criminals into your county and have a correction?
No, I want them up in Youngwood.
But you don't want them in your backyard. You don't want them in your backyard. One of the aspects of privatization is they recruit other inmates from other counties, and you have no control over that. And you don't want to expose, I would doubt, your community to hardened criminals from the state of New Jersey.
I agree, and that's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's one of the aspects of privatization that come into play.
Hey, isn't it even better? All of us can sleep better knowing that these criminals aren't even in our county. They're 30 minutes north. You sleep better at night.
Out there, Mr. Berkeley, you're in your backyard.
We don't care about them.
I can assure you that there are people up in Youngwood and South Greensburg saying the same thing.
I know that, sir. I'm only saying that in jest. You know that.
Although, I mean, they were saddened to see
But
that.
you know something, Illinois hasn't been a very quiet, well-run facility. No notoriety, there's no problems up there because of a prison. It's worked well.
Well, but the state's run it, yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's a well-greased operation. It's centrally located for our county, your county, and I think will be a good fit for all of us. So please, almost I'm asking you like everyone did, consider it. Put us in the loop. If you want us to help us pay for it, tell us what you want us to help us pay for. It's a lot of money, guys. $50 million. I don't think the county's
We're not even there, Mr. Chris. We're not. There's been no motion today.
Is there ever been a project of this scale ever taken by the county? A busy enormity of money?
If it wouldn't have cost that much. That's the problem. Is they've delayed in making decisions. No, you're right. You can't worry about it. That's past. Then 5 years from now, it's past. Then 10 years from now, it's past. When do you worry about the problem, Ms. Savanek?
Options.
Today. You worry about the problem today.
I agree, but let's lay out all the options. It's our money, guys. It's our money.
I agree with you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Is there any other comments? Any other comments?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor?
Yeah, Mom. Yeah.